This video will show how to use two online websites for calculating a standard deviation. The very first website I use when I have a list of data and there's no probabilities attached to it. So you can see over on the right that there is a box, and in this box I need to enter the data. The particular example or experiment that I'm going to work with is rolling two die and recording their sum. Now I've created data that have this standard distribution that you would expect if you were to roll these die infinitely. So it's pretty generic and made up. We know that the smallest sum that two die can have is 2, and the largest sum is 12. I'm going to select this data and then paste it over in the website. And I'm going to ask it to calculate. Then a screen comes up and I have to know which one I am using. And in this particular problem, we are using a population. It's a population standard deviation. So the answer would be 2.4. And I wouldn't use all these additional decimal places for the reason that my data originally was whole numbers, and reporting my standard deviation to one additional decimal place more than what my data has is kind of the standard rule. So my population standard deviation is 2.4. The second website that I use is when I have probabilities or frequency distribution. And this is a calculator that if you followed in other videos, you would have seen before. It's a probability distribution calculator. And when I enter my values, I may want to enter them in this top box and then the probabilities in the bottom box. Or I can check and change this to more of a tabular form, typing in and tabbing over to place my data in is required. And then I still need to put the probabilities in. Once all the data has been typed in, I need to select what I want the website to find. If I want it to find just the standard deviation, I tell it to do that. And the result is also 2.4. Frequently, when I want to have the standard deviation calculated, I also want to have the mean calculated. In this particular website, it's not user-friendly for going back and recalculating the mean. So it's helpful to know that this particular website does show you what the mean is down in its explanation. So after you see the result that the standard deviation is 2.4, you can read down a little further and see that the mean is 7. This tells us that the center of the data is 7, which is what I would expect when rolling two die, because 7 is the most common outcome and there is a symmetric distribution. It's not a bell curve distribution, but it is a symmetric distribution of the sum of the two die being rolled. We know that there's only one way to get a 2 and there's only one way to get a 12. So what we can know now is that from the mean, if we were to subtract 2.4 and add 2.4 to that 7, that would give us a range of values where we would expect about 68% of the data values from our list to be.